Alright, Heritage Barkeep with the 22 Magnum cylinder on it. I did a couple videos testing Gold Dot and Punch in the short barrel. And I'm putting these two videos together in one because I changed my testing protocol a little bit since then. Many people don't realize that I actually film weeks in advance most of the time. So I changed my protocol and I haven't released these yet. Where my new protocol is I'm going through just plain clear ballistics and then I'm switching over to using denim and stuff like that. Well, in these tests I did not do that yet, so I am just making this here so that you guys realize that. And because the videos were not necessarily all that entertaining, the gel wasn't all that clear, I had a couple error reads through my chronograph, I thought, you know what, well, let's just put them together as one and do one video on it, because it'll make it a little bit better. And that's another thing with the chronograph. People like to complain when they see a misread and they'll tell me hundreds of comments on it, but they fail to realize that I just did like video after video after video, 100 rounds through the thing. I never had an error read, and the reason why I had issues in this testing is because one of my batteries on my light went dead, and when it does that, because I shoot out in the woods with all the tree cover, it's not going to read, and there was nothing I could really do at the moment. So enjoy this test with our Gold Dot and our Punch, and I tested the Gold Dot against 9mm and the G2C, and then I tested the Punch against 38 Special Punch. So enjoy the video. 22 mag versus 38 Special with our Federal Punch. And why 22 mag versus 38 Special? Well, you know, I just did a video about this not too long ago with this ammo with a little bit longer barrels, about 4-inch barrels. So now we're going to do our snub nose test. And you know, the reason why I do videos like this is just from some of my personal experience with talking to people. You know, I've had a lot of people tell me 38 Special is garbage, so you might as well just use a 22 mag because it's just as powerful. And we're going to see, you know, how true that is today and see how well our 22 Magnum does. So our 22 Magnum is rated at 1,000 feet per second from a 2-inch barrel, and it is a 45 grain hollow point. Our 38 Special is a 120 grain hollow point, also rated at 1,000 feet per second, but I believe that's through a 4-inch barrel. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, when we compare short barrels, how they will compare, because I don't know, because we only saw our 4-inch barrel so far. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. We have 4 layers of denim followed by 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent hitting a pectoral muscle, which really equates to about 1.5 inches of human tissue, followed by a 1/4 inch MDF, medium density fiberboard, to represent hitting ribs or sternum, and to more clear ballistics. We'll do a shot with this to represent hitting a chest shot, and we'll pull that out, and we'll do it without the MDF. So it's like a gut shot where we're not hitting ribs or sternum. And then I'm going to go up to about 10 yards to see what our practical accuracy would be if we had to use these guns in self-defense. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. First up, our 22 Magnum. This happens to be single action only. My chronograph lights just randomly quit working, so I'm hoping to still get a read. Sometimes I have issues when that happens. So 22 mag, let's see how close we get to 1,000 feet per second. I do have some previous reads with the 38 Special, which I'm going to list here. But as for our 22 mag, we're just going to have to assume that we're at about 1,000 feet per second or this. And let's set our ballistics gel block and see what we get. All right, first up we have our 22 Magnum. We're going to go through our 1/4 inch MDF with this, see what we get. Let's try our gut shot now. All right, no MDF, just our gut shot. See how this will do. We'll take a look. All right, so honestly not too bad. I mean, we have not enough penetration for sure. With our 1/4 inch MDF, we actually went further at about 11 inches. That's close. We want to get at least 12 inches. But what we have with no MDF was we're looking at about 9 3/4 inches. You know, with the one with no MDF, there's actually a lot of damage there. But I don't see any bullet expansion with either of these, which is kind of hard to see through this gel. I'm getting some new gel pretty soon, but yeah, we're just not really seeing anything that looks particularly good with that. So let's try our 38 special now. All right, 38 special, 1/4 inch MDF. See how it does. Let's try our gut shot now. All right, no MDF, just our gut shot. Let's see how this does. Let's go take a look. So that's interesting there. Hitting that MDF made a difference with that for sure. We don't got expansion with this either. I didn't think we would because of my last test. Even with the 4-inch barrel, we didn't. And we can see through our MDF, we're not getting expansion before that. Looks like the 22 Magnum, it potentially started to tumble. And that's probably why we have okay damage. And with our 38 special, obviously nothing. But with our 1/4 inch MDF, and I kind of consider that more of a realistic shot that you might have to make because you're hitting something hard. What we're looking at is 15.5 inches, which is pretty much perfect. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a lot of damage. And I just recently did a video on this, that a non-expanding hollow point is not a full metal jacket. The way that flesh in this case interacts with that hollow cavity, even if the petals don't peel back, it still creates more damage and reduces penetration. Because I have tested, these are 120 grain. I've tested like 125 and 130 grain full metal jacket 38s with the flat nose like a hollow point, and we're up here. We're talking like 28, 29, 30 inches, not 15. And with our other one with no MDF, we're right at about an 18 3/4, which I would not consider that over penetration at all. Somebody might look at the 3/4 part, but I've noticed that other people's tests with organic gel, they get about 2 inches less penetration. So I would say we're pretty much right where we want to be with that 38 special. And I get a lot of flack for this. People are like, why are you defending it? You're such a fanboy. Look, it did terrible. Well, no, it didn't. They're just looking that they didn't see pedal expansion. That's the only thing they're looking at. They're not looking at, from my point of view, that was super easy to shoot. Actually, I have very, very low recoil. It felt really good to shoot. And we're not over penetrating, and we're getting okay damage. So now let me move up to 10 yards with these and just kind of do some practical accuracy drills and just see how these shoot for me. All right, 10 yards from the target. A little bit different process because this is a single action revolver and the other one is a double action. So you can't really compare apples to apples with this sort of test. But it's sort of like a personal test to me. What could I possibly do with something like this? I'm going to use a little bit different technique where I'm going to have my thumb kind of high and I'm just going to be doing that. So let's see what we get with the 22 Magnum, 10 yards. All right. Now reloading would be ridiculous to do in a self-defense situation unless, you had some time. And that could be true for the revolver if you don't have a speed loader, which I didn't bring my speed loader back here with my 38 either. So I'll try that again. See what I can do, see if I can make a headshot, see if I can make a point shot, etc. I'm just really curious what I can do with this gun. I have noticed that the barrel's loose. It wobbles off. Not off, but it loosens. So I need to put some thread locker in there because it can come loose, but let's see how I can do. Accuracy, headshot. Well, can I make one? Oh, high. All right, point shot. I'm shooting a little bit to the right personally. Let's see if I can do a 38 special. Obviously, a lot easier to place shots, but it has a lot more recoil. But let's just see what this felt recoil is in this 20-ounce Taurus here. Not bad. And that's one thing to keep into consideration. Is that, a lot of people want to get these guns and they want to run 357 Magnum through it. And they have this idea they're going to run 357 Magnum through it. And they don't really go out to the range and test it. And if they do, they're just kind of shooting single action. And, You really need to get out and just pull them out, double action, just kind of see what that felt recoil is if you had to fire, you know, a whole cylinder full, because that matters. So see if I make a headshot with these. Point shots. That's that. Pull it a little bit to the left, to the right, I mean. All right, double tap. And I guess I was out. So that's what you get today with 22 Magnum versus 38 Special. You know, are they really comparable? And the answer is no. And I haven't really mentioned this yet, but it is something I should mention. A lot of people, they don't know a lot about ballistics, and they're getting on websites, they're looking at information. They're seeing 22 Magnum listed somewhere, probably on Wikipedia. Oh, 320 foot-pounds or 340 foot-pounds or whatever it says. And they're looking at that number, and they're all looking at 38 Special and like, 38 Special, 180 foot-pounds, 200 foot-pounds. And what they're looking at is they're looking at the worst of the worst ammo in a snub-nose revolver versus the best of the best 22 Magnum in a rifle. And in reality, what you're looking at, if you're talking short barrels here, is a 22 mag. You're looking at anywhere between 90 and maybe 120 foot-pounds energy max with, you know, a 22 mag and a short barrel, 120 foot-pounds. You know, with 38 Special, generally a standard pressure, you might start at 175 foot-pounds out of a 2-inch barrel. And I've seen 2-inch barrel loads do upwards of 400 foot-pounds energy. Actually, yeah, maybe a little more, but yeah, about 400 foot-pounds of a 2-inch barrel. So when you know, actually look at short barrel energy numbers between 22 Magnum and 38 Special, what you're looking at is average ammo. The 38 Special is twice as powerful in a short barrel. If you push them, your 22 mag isn't going to go any hotter. Your 38 Special, with a really hot loaded 38 plus P, is going to be 3 times more powerful in a short barrel than a 22 mag in a short barrel. And energy matters, because energy is what causes damage, it's what causes penetration, it's what can cause expansion. So that's what you get today. Sorry I couldn't get those chronograph reads, but you know, that's just the name of the game. Sometimes this stuff happens out in the real world, but you know, I think the 38 did pretty well. 22 mag, it did okay. So that's what you get. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching. All right, 9mm versus 22 mag. And before you start trolling me and getting angry about this, you know, a lot of times when I do versus videos, they are not versus as in competition. Versus can also mean comparison. And honestly, anything that you compare to 9mm is pretty valid nowadays, being that it is the most popular handgun cartridge out there. So if you want to get kind of a baseline of how something performs, compare it to 9mm. So that's kind of what I'm doing today. And I'm going to try to keep some things fair, as in try to keep these basically the same size-ish guns, because when we're looking at our G2C here, that's what this is, versus our Rough Rider revolver, they're pretty much in a way the same size, can fit kind of in the same area of carry. But our 9mm is just our basic standard pressured 124 grain, and our 22 Magnum is a 40 grain gold dot. So we're going to run these through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. And I'm going to use kind of old gel today, because this test doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot to me, but I just want to see anyways. So what we're going to do here is something I've been doing lately, where I just do a best case scenario where I'm just plain clear ballistics. And then after the fact, I will put on 4 layers of denim and a 1/4 inch MDF to represent like a coat and ribs or sternum. So that gives us kind of the best case scenario versus real world scenario. And then I'll plink a few out at my steel target, just kind of see what kind of accuracy we can get. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. Our 9mm is rated at 1150 feet per second, probably through a 4-inch barrel. Let's see if we get out of our little 3.2 inch G2C. 1109, 1115, 1101, 1104, 1114. Now with our 22 Magnum here, it's rated at 1050 feet per second. So let's see what we get out of our little barkeep here. 2.6 inch barrel. I don't know. That's pretty weird. Huh. Guess I'm gonna have to get up real close or something. I don't know if it's an accuracy issue or what the issue is, but it didn't want to read, so I'm gonna go real low over the sensors. 1185. No read. No read. No read. 1040. 1059. So we got some reads at least, and that's actually pretty good velocity for this little snub nose. So let's hit our ballistics gel block, and I have a thought that the 9mm might pass completely through. That's probably what will happen, but we will see anyway. So let's hit our ballistics gel block now. All right, let's just do our best case scenario here, plain clear ballistics. I'll just start with the 22 Magnum, and then we'll move on to the 9mm. So here's our 22 mag. 9mm. One more with the 9mm because it went out to the side, not straight out the back, so maybe I can catch one. Take a look. All right, so I actually caught that in the block, surprisingly. I wasn't gonna completely pass through it, but it's kind of hard to see because this gel is pretty bad old gel. But what we're looking at with our plain clear ballistics, looks like we got expansion of the gold dot about 13.5 inches, not bad. 9mm about 14.5, also not bad. So both of those seem like they're doing pretty well. And actually, if we can see the 22 mag, it actually didn't do too bad as far as damage, which is to be expected because it looks like it expanded. So let's try a real world scenario now. All right, 22 mag through our real world scenario. Let's see how this does. Let's try our 9mm now. All right, this one went out the block the other way. So one more 22 mag through our MDF. Now let's try our 9mm. 9mm. We'll take a look. So we see the same kind of thing going on here, that the MDF impeded the expansion. Actually, it could be the denim actually. But we see kind of the scaling difference here, as both of them have slight nose deformation, but no actual real expansion larger than the base of the bullet from what I can tell. And they both tumble because they're both facing backwards. So what you're seeing here is a completely different difference here. That's massive here. We're looking at about 10.25 inches with our 22 mag, barely any damage here. But with our 9mm, the amount of actual damage in there is somewhere around, I would estimate 8 times as much damage in there. Just a massive amount of damage from that tumbling potentially. And we're stopped at about 16 3/4. And this is some point that I've made before in the past. A non-expanding hollow point does better than a full metal jacket, because we all know a 9mm full metal jacket, 124 grain. If you set this up with an extra block, you would either be at the end of the block or completely out 2 blocks. But we're stopped on our first block. So let's take a look here at what we got through our MDF. And it does appear that with our 22 Magnum, looks like one of them, it wasn't tumbling before it hit this. The other one was tumbling before it hit this. So I think it has something to do with the denim that's causing that to tumble, because it didn't really look like it tumbled with our plain shot there. So there's a big difference there. So since this video is kind of silly as already, you know, I'm just going to shoot from 75 yards because it's a why not scenario, why not situation, why not? You know, that 22 mag is not rivaling that 9mm. Maybe it has some more precision accuracy. So let me try that. All right, 75 yards from the target. Like I said before, why not? Just for the fun of it. So G2C, let's just see where I'm hitting with this. All right, interesting. And that one that I missed, I actually felt myself pull that. So the 3 it hit, I actually had a pretty good sight picture and lined up pretty well. This gun is not accurate at all. I have no idea where this is going to hit, but why not? Just for fun. I'm experimenting my holds because I can't see the dirt move, so I don't know where it's hitting. So let me call it. This time, those times I aimed a little high. This time I'm going to aim low, about 15 inches below the target. Maybe a little higher. All right, so it looks like I'm hitting right. So let me aim left shoulder. All right, so I'm probably not going to make any hits here, but why not do this for fun? Where did my little tool go? My little tool went away for loading this, but you can take out the pin for holding the gun together and load it that way. So why not? Fits in there perfectly. So cylinder, I'll just load it up this way. This would be a last ditch gun or some sort of gun out of desperation if it's all you had. This would not be my first choice. All right, aim left shoulder again. I have no idea what's going on. All right, one more. All right, one more go to try to make some hits. Just kind of aiming all over to see what happened. But we can't take that last part into any of this equation because that was for fun, like I said. But we can see that the 9mm is actually a pretty accurate cartridge, even out of a short barrel from that distance. So there's a little bit to that, but when we look at our ballistic performance, I really think our real world scenario tests really shed some light on all of this, because going through plain clear ballistics, yeah, we got about the same penetration and we got expansion on both, but when we went through the MDF and we went through scenarios where, that hollow point might get clogged, and, even with the 9mm, there's not enough velocity to overcome that, we're seeing that the 9mm did a lot better. A lot better. They're not even in the same class, and not that I thought they were, but when we really just kind of compare that, is 22 mag enough for self-defense? Well, yeah, but you're really not getting what you're getting with a center fire cartridge. There's a big difference there. So take this test for whatever you will. Just kind of goofing off with this test, not really doing my best here, but I just wanted to kind of informally see, how does something like a gold dot 22 mag compare to a gold dot 9mm. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.